Think your US passport is a golden ticket to the world? Not anymore. Once Americans could travel almost anywhere with ease. Now that privilege is fading fast. In 2025, 15 countries have tightened or shut their doors to US travelers, sometimes for reasons you'd never expect. From diplomatic drama to security fears, the American passport is losing its power. Let's count down the countries where your travel plans might hit a wall. First up, Brazil, a vibrant nation, a land of contrasts, and a cultural powerhouse that has captivated the world for centuries. The land of sun, samba, and stunning coastlines, a place where life is celebrated with passion and rhythm. The beaches are golden, the music infectious, and the spirit of the people is undeniably magnetic, and until recently, easy entry for Americans. Brazil has always been a popular destination for American tourists, drawn to its natural beauty and vibrant culture. The ease of access made it a favorite for quick getaways and extended vacations alike. Now strict visa requirements are back, a significant shift in policy that has travelers scrambling to understand the new rules of the game. And the process is a bureaucratic maze. Navigating the application process can feel like an uphill battle, filled with confusing forms and endless waiting. Why? Reciprocity, a principle of fairness in international relations, where countries mirror each other's visa policies. Brazil got tired of its citizens jumping through hoops to visit the US. The frustration had been building for years, as Brazilians faced lengthy wait times and complex procedures when applying for American visas. So now, Americans must do the same. A taste of their own medicine, perhaps, as the tables have turned and the visa process becomes a shared experience. It's not just paperwork, it's a statement, a signal that Brazil is asserting its sovereignty and demanding equal treatment on the global stage. There's a chill in the air, a sense that the red carpet is gone. The warm welcome that once characterized the relationship between the two countries has been replaced by a more formal and cautious approach. Brazil's message, friendship is a two-way street, a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding, where both parties are treated fairly and equitably. And right now, one lane is closed. The flow of tourism and cultural exchange has been hampered, creating a barrier between the two nations. If you want to see Christ the Redeemer, that iconic symbol of Rio de Janeiro and Brazil itself, you'll need more than a plane ticket. Prepare for the added hurdle of visa applications and bureaucratic procedures. For Americans, Brazil just got a lot harder to reach. The dream vacation may require more planning and patience than before. Nigeria, the giant of Africa, a nation brimming with entrepreneurial spirit and economic potential. It's long been considered Africa's business powerhouse, a magnet for international investment and a key player on the global stage. But the landscape is shifting. Nigeria is no longer rolling out the welcome mat quite as readily for US professionals. The ease of access that once characterized business travel is becoming a thing of the past. Visa applications are now under intense scrutiny, every detail examined with a fine-tooth comb. The process has become significantly more rigorous. Expect to navigate a labyrinth of paperwork and brace yourself for longer, often unpredictable waiting times. The bureaucratic hurdles have increased substantially. Political tension, both domestic and international, coupled with growing cybersecurity fears, are the primary forces driving this change, a recalibration of Nigeria's approach to foreign engagement. Nigeria wants to assert its independence on the world stage, demonstrating its sovereignty and control over its own borders and policies. The nation is determined to protect its digital borders from external threats, safeguarding its critical infrastructure and sensitive data. The days of easy, seamless business trips are definitively over. The landscape has shifted, demanding a new level of preparation and awareness. Now, every visit, every interaction, feels less like a routine business trip and more like a delicate diplomatic mission, requiring careful navigation and heightened sensitivity. Nigeria's message is clear. We're still open for business, eager to foster international partnerships and drive economic growth. But make no mistake, we're watching you closely, monitoring activities and ensuring compliance with our regulations and security protocols. For American entrepreneurs, the promise of opportunity in Nigeria now comes with an undercurrent of suspicion, a need to prove intentions and build trust. The rules of engagement have fundamentally changed, demanding a new approach to business in this dynamic and evolving market. Vietnam, once a symbol of reconciliation, is tightening its borders for Americans. Multi-entry visas are rare, stays are shorter, and denials are up. The reason? Concerns over cultural disrespect and a desire to protect national identity. There's a growing pushback against Western influence, and Americans are feeling it. Vietnam's open arms are now folded, and the welcome is cautious. For U.S. travelers, the door isn't closed, but it's barely ajar. Turkey, the bridge between continents, is making it tough for Americans to cross. Forget easy e-visas. Now it's in-person interviews, background checks, and long waits. This isn't about tourism, it's diplomatic fallout from years of political tension. Turkey is using visa policy as leverage, sending a clear message to Washington. For Americans, visiting Istanbul now means navigating a geopolitical minefield. The hot air balloons of Cappadocia? They're floating further out of reach. The bridge is up and the welcome is on ice. South Africa, once a beacon of reconciliation, is tightening entry for Americans. New hurdles and scrutiny reflect growing distrust of U.S. political influence. Diplomatic ties have cooled, and visa restrictions are the visible result. South Africa is asserting its independence, setting its own terms for entry. The connection once felt between the two nations is fading. For Americans, safaris and city tours now come with a side of political tension. The gate is guarded by national pride. Venezuela isn't just closing the door, it's locking it tight. American tourists can't get visas. Only a handful of journalists or diplomats might get in, after a grueling process. The recent accusations of U.S. interference and deep political hostility. Every American is seen as a potential threat. Venezuela is a no-go zone, sealed off by suspicion and animosity. For now, its beauty is out of reach. Cuba, once briefly open to Americans, is off-limits again. Travel is restricted to a handful of government-approved categories with endless red tape. The U.S. and Cuba have returned to old hostilities, each side tightening restrictions. Independent tourism is illegal, and even approved trips are a bureaucratic nightmare. The thaw is over, the door is shut. For Americans, Cuba is once again just a postcard. The music of Havana is out of earshot. China, a land once brimming with the promise of open doors for American tourists and businesses alike, a place where cultural exchange flourished and partnerships seemed boundless, is now increasingly perceived as a fortress of suspicion, its gates guarded by unseen anxieties and geopolitical calculations. The welcome mat, once readily extended, now seems partially retracted. The once coveted 10-year visas, symbols of a long-term commitment and mutual trust, are largely gone, relegated to a bygone era of easier relations. Now, visa applications face invasive and probing screenings, with applicants subjected to intense scrutiny. Frequent denials have become commonplace, leaving many would-be travelers and business people stranded on the outside. Escalating trade wars fueled by deep-seated espionage fears and concerns over intellectual property, and rising tensions over the status of Taiwan, a flashpoint of geopolitical significance, have collectively poisoned the well of the relationship, leaving a bitter aftertaste of mistrust and uncertainty. Consequently, Americans are increasingly viewed with deep mistrust and suspicion, their motives questioned and their activities carefully monitored. This is especially true for those working in the technology sector or holding positions within the government, who are often seen as potential risks. China is now seemingly using visa denials not just as a bureaucratic measure, but as a deliberate tool of statecraft, a way to exert pressure and signal displeasure. The Great Wall, that iconic symbol of China's historical might, isn't just a monument to the past. It's become a potent metaphor for the new reality, a tangible representation of the growing divide and the increasing barriers to entry. For U.S. travelers, navigating the complexities of entering China is harder and more fraught with uncertainty than ever before. The door to China is heavy, laden with geopolitical weight, and it's closing fast, potentially ushering in a new era of limited engagement. Russia has slammed the door on Americans. Most visas are suspended, consulates are barely operating, and the message is clear: you're not welcome. It's retaliation for Western sanctions and a return to Cold War hostility. Any American in Russia risks detention. The State Department says, do not travel. The bridge built after the Soviet Union's fall is gone. For Americans, Russia is off limits. The Iron Curtain is back. Iran has been closed to Americans for decades and nothing's changed. Tourist visas are nearly impossible. Only rare government-approved tours might get through. Deep mistrust and security fears keep the door shut. Ancient wonders like Persepolis remain out of reach. For Americans, Iran is a forbidden kingdom. North Korea is the ultimate no-go zone for Americans. U.S. law bans travel there, and the regime sees every American as a threat. Detentions are common, and there's no tourism or cultural exchange. The reasons: war, nuclear tensions, and total isolation. Curiosity about Pyongyang will remain unsatisfied. Pakistan has frozen almost all visas for Americans. Years of military tension, drone strikes, and mutual suspicion have poisoned the relationship. Consulates aren't processing new requests, even for family visits. Islamabad is pushing back against perceived violations of sovereignty. For Americans, the mountains of the Karakoram are now out of reach. It's a casualty of a fractured alliance. Saudi Arabia, once a key U.S. ally, has halted most visas for Americans. A diplomatic blow-up over oil and military deals led to this dramatic fallout. Only essential travel is allowed, and even that's under scrutiny. The U.S.-Saudi friendship has run out of oil and patience. The futuristic city of Neom and ancient Al-Ula are off the table. Americans are no longer welcome. Afghanistan is now one of the most dangerous places for Americans. No visas, no embassy, and no consular help. Travel is impossible and life-threatening. The Taliban government is hostile, and extremist groups target Westerners. The U.S. State Department's warning is clear: do not travel. Afghanistan's beauty and tragedy are sealed off by war. For Americans, it's a land lost to history. The UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi was once America's Middle Eastern playground. In 2025, a sudden intelligence scandal shattered trust, and the UAE suspended most visas for Americans. The fallout was swift and severe, with business and tourism grinding to a halt. The Burj Khalifa is off limits, and the sense of safety is gone. Even the closest allies can close the door overnight. For Americans, the UAE is now out of reach. 15 countries once open, now closed or restricted to Americans. The U.S. passport's power is fading, challenged by politics, pride, and security fears. Travel is a privilege, not a right, and the world is changing fast. American travelers must pay attention to more than just flight deals. Global politics matter. Before you book, double-check your destination. Which country surprised you most? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, stay informed, and travel safe.